What up, nation? I'm Rockvar here with another DCUO video, more like a vlog this time actually. I just wanted to come on and touch base on some of the reactions to some of my videos over the past month or so, some of the reactions that I've had and other people have had with the stack clamping and the changes to DCUO, and just kind of, I don't know, not really clear the air, but more have a discussion and let everyone understand where I'm coming from and kind of what's happening. So there will probably be edits in this video. If you see glitches, if you see video jump, it's probably because I edited it. I'm essentially going to be pouring my heart out here, guys, so I don't really have a script or anything specific that I wanted to say, but I did want to kind of, like I said, clear the air a bit. So there were, we did a few videos intended at showing the changes that were coming to DCUO from the test server. My videos are never intended to be derogatory or negative or to start problems or controversy or anything like that. That's not my game. That is not the intention of this channel at all. So if you ever stumble across a video on this channel, we're mostly just here for entertainment purposes and always have been. We try to stay out of any major, scandals that would happen around the game or in the game or anything like that. That's not our bag. But since I'm a recent addition to the test server on DCUO, since I just started like in the past year using PC and being able to be on the test server and stuff like that, I'm all the time trying to bring information to people that I think maybe they don't have, and that's really the goal of any of my test server videos, is to say, hey, look at this. This is what's new that you didn't know about maybe, and here's your chance to interact with it a little bit. When we do live streams, when we show new gear, styles, anything that we're showing from the test server is typically aimed at educating the audience on things they may not know of or be aware of, showing you some cool stuff. And the live streams are definitely aimed at giving people the opportunity to interact with the test server, because I didn't have access to test for a long time, a long time, and I didn't know where to see any of that stuff. And so lucky for me, there were streamers doing test server videos. Some of that still goes on. There's obviously still a lot of that. Some of it has gone away over the years, and so certain people that were high profile YouTubers aren't doing it anymore, and so we don't really have too many avenues for some of the content that I like to show or like to look at. And so that's why I try to pass it along. I don't fancy it up like everybody else normally did or does. My stuff is normally just, here's what it is, here's what it's gonna look like, hope you enjoy it when it hits live. And so being a long-term player, when something happens that's as significant as the changes that came in episode 41, I am definitely, on a personal level, very intrigued by it and very interested in it. And so I wanted to get that out there to the population and let everybody see for themselves what was only at that point being talked about. You only get so much information from a blog post, essentially, or a tweet, or a post on Facebook or what have you. And then a lot of people can't watch the live streams that the devs do, and and when you do, obviously you're seeing stuff from someone else's perspective, and you don't really, there are questions you might have, or there are details that you want to look at that you really can't. in those types of situations. So my goal with the whole video series was to show you exactly what those changes were going to be. You know, we all knew in theory what was going to happen, and what was coming, and some of us were already mentally prepared for it because it's happened a couple of times already in the life of this game and in others. But my goal was to just show you those exact numbers and what that change really was going to look like. It was not to try and help you form an opinion on whether you would like it or dislike it, or whether you liked the game or didn't like the game, or liked the devs or didn't like the devs. It was simply to showcase the information. And so, you know, any of my reactions in the video that that seemed like I was upset over it, I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't completely thrilled, and I'm still not completely thrilled with the whole stat clamping thing. And my reason is different though than what people assumed by watching either my reactions or what other people are saying. So so that's when I said there's probably going to be a lot of edits to this video, because I'm about to just share things with you that I have not shared with you before, or with a lot of people that I don't know. So in my real life, outside of gaming and outside of playing DCUO, outside of trying to be a YouTuber or a streamer or any of those types of things, in my real life, I am 100% a salesperson, born and bred. It's what I do. It's what I've always done since I came out of the womb. It's what, and so anytime anything happens in my life, I equate it to basically my sales mentality. So when something happens and someone tells me this is as much as you're ever going to be able to do, this is the cap, I equate that to like my commissions, or how much I'm able to earn in the real world. Okay? And so anytime anyone puts a cap on anything, my immediate response is to not be happy and to just either barrel through that cap or find an alternate way around to achieve. And so I've left many jobs that were probably good jobs that had salary caps or had hourly wage caps, because I would prefer to work for commission, because I know I can make more money that way, because I will never stop. Okay? I will achieve my goals, and I do, and I exceed them, and that is me in my world. Okay? So when you look at something that's coming to the game that I love, that I've been playing for 11 years, that I have been in 11 plus years, that I have invested a lot of money in and put a lot of time in, to essentially, what are we doing when we DPS or tank or heal or troll? To me, when I think about it, I'm building the best character that I can. Okay? My goal in this game, if my character is a tank, a troll, a healer, or a DPS, which is not arguably a role, I get it, but you know, if that's all I do, I'm gonna say that's my role. In any of those roles, my goal is to be the best that I can possibly be, to be the top at what I can possibly do. And I'm not talking about having a kick-ass trinket that makes me the best while I'm using it, or a combination of trinkets, and that's all cool, and I get it. And that's where, you know, artifacts come in, and now, you know, we have you know, all kinds of new stuff being added to the game that basically helps us do damage or helps us do our roles. I'm not arguing that those are wrong in any way, but I'm saying the core of the character to me has always been skill points. Okay? And so, and that's just the way I think of it. You think of it however you want to. Many people play this game differently, but to me, the core of this character that I've been building is skill points. So I have 100% for 11 years spent my time, which is very valuable to me, my money, my energy. I've given up holidays, family, friends, pretty much a life in some cases to devote time to this game that I love. And I'm not saying that it's the game's fault, but what I'm saying is, you know, I've put all of this effort into building this character, to build the SP on this character with one goal in mind, and that is to be the strongest that I possibly can be at my role. Okay? So, and I'm not saying that I am the best at my role or the strongest at my role. I'm saying that is what I will ultimately want to achieve in this game. And so when I do that, and then someone tells me, no matter how much you do, no matter how good you get, when you go back into this mission that, you know, was and should have been difficult for you 6 years ago, you're not going to ever be as powerful as you should be, arguably, when you go back into that mission because of this stat clamp. So when you tell me that, just hearing that, it irritates me. It makes me irate, to be honest with you. Just the theory of it. Now, that said, what was actually implemented and what was done in the game, to be honest with you, if they didn't tell me, I probably wouldn't notice that much. So, you know, that's what I'm saying is, don't take the video as me complaining about what's happened. Don't let it be the showcase of you know, someone who's angry over what was done. The theory was upsetting to me. The actual implementation doesn't seem to be that bad. Now, there are missions that I don't want to go back to again. You know, we did a duo the other night that was incredibly fun to go back to after we had become boss, to go back and say, hey, look at this boss that used to beat the crap out of me. I can smack him down in 2 hits now. Well, that was just, it wasn't to go back and do the mission and have fun doing the mission. It was to go back and to enjoy the achievements that we had made, you know. And so when we went back then, now with the stat clamp, it wasn't the same. So we didn't have that level of fun. But it wasn't because the mission wasn't fun. It was because we went there for a specific reason, and that reason was no longer, you know, a viable option. Now, again, there are a lot of people out there who are super duper mad that they can't go and smack down bosses. I'm one of them. Okay, but I'm not one of them in the sense of I think that's how the whole game should be. So yeah, someone had made a pretty good point, and that actually spawned this video. They commented on one of the past videos, and they're saying, you know, well, this content that you're basically complaining about not being able to do in 5 minutes was meant for a group of people, and it shouldn't be done in 5 minutes. Essentially, is what they're saying. And you're right, 6 years ago. So that's my point, is, you know, those of us who, and I don't know how long that person has been playing the game, I'm not trying to make assumptions about that, but for those of us who have been here since day one, we did already experience all of this, you know, step by step, aggravation by aggravation. Every one of these missions that are being done now, we basically spammed mercilessly for this long until now. Okay, so we grew up already through this content. As we got to a point, and that's what I said earlier, this has happened already, as we got to a point where the original group that basically started playing this game had gotten so powerful that they could beast all of this stuff now that was then becoming older content, they did a revamp. We got different things over the years. We got stack clamped, we got CR differential, we got mechanics changed, we got so many different things to try and right size the ship essentially, and make it so that a brand new player that starts today can go into a low level mission and have to do the same grind that we had to do without the benefit of us being there to beast it for them. And that is essentially what the team is trying to do, is make this game playable for everyone, from new players to old players. The problem is that is a pretty much impossible thing to do unless you split us up. The only thing, one of the only options they had was to do this stack clamping, and the clamping that they've done in the past, because as the player base grows, you have more and more new players coming into the mix, and you have more and more players that have outgrown the threshold, so to speak. And so then, you know, it becomes fun for the older players to go back in and beast content. It becomes hectic for new players to try and learn the game if old players are always beasting content. It's a catch-22 that is not going to go away. And so my whole fix for it over the years, and the thing that I've always relied on, as, you know, when people have said, well, I don't like anymore being a top tier player because when I go into old content, it's not fun for me, I just beast through it. Or vice versa, younger players saying, I don't like going into content because there's older players there who are beasting through it and I'm not getting to see mechanics. The answer to all of that is alts. Okay? If I want to go back and play, and I'm just going to use one of my favorite missions as an example. If I want to go back and play Smallville as an at-tier player, I use another tune. I have like a lot of them. The ones that you're seeing right now on the screen are just on my PC account, which I only started to do test server stuff, and then got kicked off of my PS4 because my son took it over. And so now I don't really have access.
That was because PlayStation broke.
Well, it started with the PlayStation breaking, okay? But anyway, aside from that, the end result is I have a full roster on my PS4. I have, this is my PC account. My wife has a PS4 account with a full roster of tunes. And so, you know, anytime that we wanted to go back and play anything at tier, we would just do it. We would just use another tune. That defeats the point, you know, that defeats all problems. I no longer have young players who are mad at me for beasting through their content, and I get to enjoy the content at level if I wish to do so. I guess the problem is that so many people have either in-game alts or they don't use alts, and so that issue happens. I mean, when I talk about myself and my wife going into content to beast old stuff because it's fun, I'm talking about duos, I'm talking about old walk-in raids, I'm talking about open world content. We very rarely go into a 4-player mission or a legit raid with other people with that being the goal. Normally, if we're going into a group mission with other people, the goal is to be part of the group, okay? So much so that my wife, who is a DPS, will typically tank with her DPS for low-level players if she has to. So, you know, the stuff that we do where we're going and beasting end-game content, that's normally on a solo or a duo, just with us. You know, myself and my wife, who both enjoy doing that together. We're not out trying to ruin anybody else's gaming experience. Apparently there are people that are. And so, you know, there is no real solid answer to achieve it. But like I said, you know, the stack clamp thing, it has been implemented. It is there. It is not the most heinous thing in the world. I have honestly not been that motivated to play for the past couple of weeks. A lot of that was gearing up to the actual launch of, like I said, that's my own personality when it comes to limits. I just don't like them, and I don't like being clamped. We had been clamped before. They did the whole thing where they did the CR differential. If you think the clamp is bad, look back at the point when CR differential was a thing, and you go into a mission with someone who bought a CR skip and has no skill points, but they can out DPS you because they have a higher CR. You know what I mean? Like, that was a pretty uncomfortable change that we all worked through, and it ended up getting reversed. And so the things that happen in this game are not the end-all be-all of its existence. I would never suggest to someone to quit the game over something like this, or quit the game over anything I've said or any other person has said for that matter. The game should be played based on your own personal experience. And to be quite honest with you, the changes that have been made in my own personal experience so far have not made it that bad. There are missions that are more enjoyable than others, and there's definitely a lot of work happening on the side of the devs to find out what people like and dislike about it and to make those changes. And so my advice to everyone is to kind of give it a chance and just see where the ball rolls. Like I said earlier, if they hadn't told me necessarily that it was my stats were being clamped, I probably wouldn't raise an eyebrow too much, until it came to, like, obviously those like one hit wonder bosses that you could do there in the open worlds, which, for the record, I'm not complaining that it takes a group to do a group mission anymore. My goal was just to show, I don't have a group to run with when I'm doing those videos. So my goal is just to show you what it is now in comparison to what it was. My point was that I could beast this boss in about 2 hits before, and now it takes me about 2 minutes. That's not to say I'm pissed that it takes me 2 minutes, and I think it should take 2 hits. That's to show basically the difference. So if you take the fact that I, as one person who has this many skill points and is at this CR, takes 5 minutes to do this boss, you can pretty much assume it's going to take a good while for a group at tier to do. And so that the goal is information. And yeah, obviously group missions should be group missions, and I get that. But also a little bit of choice wouldn't have been too bad. If we had the option to queue into one or the other, clamped or not clamped, or what have you. But then that's a whole load of work that I personally don't understand, because I'm not a programmer, I'm not a designer. I have no idea what it takes to make things tick on the back end. So there you go. I hope you guys are enjoying it. I hope everybody is at least, the new content is fun. The kinks are getting worked out. The new rewards are awesome. If you haven't really taken a look at that, it definitely pays to be a member. And so, do with it what you will. Take the information and go. But I did want to give you some clarification on my thought process, and hopefully that helps with any of my opinions are just opinions. I don't want you to take it as gold. I don't want you to make an assumption on how you will interact with the game based on it. I just want you to do it, and quite honestly, or I just want you to hear it. And quite honestly, this YouTube channel is a hobby of mine that started out as something that I thought could grow into something more than that, and it really hasn't. So it's become a really good hobby. I am in no way a specialist on anything. So, like I say, my opinions are just opinions. So, hope you enjoy. For Lyda and Bodhi, this is Rockvar saying, play on.